Hey guys, welcome to section 1, chapter 7 of the geometry program. And in this section, we're going to find the areas of parallelograms and triangles. So to get us started, we need to define what the area of a parallelogram is. And simply written, it's base times the height. If we wanted to write that with abbreviations, we would write something like this. Area equals base times the height. Now that seems pretty easy if you're thinking about something like just a rectangle. Right? So if this was 2 and this was 4, then obviously either one of those could be the base and the height, and the area would be 10. But when we're in a parallelogram, reminder, that's a 4-sided figure with 2 sets of parallel sides. This figure is slanted, which does not give us a true height, regardless of the base. So let's go ahead and define what we mean by base. Base can be any side of the parallelogram. So you can use any side that you're given. The key to the height, also known as the altitude, is the corresponding segment that is perpendicular to the line containing the base drawn to the opposite base. So in this picture that I've just drawn, if this is 10 and this is 20, in order for me to calculate the altitude, I need a perpendicular. We'll call that 8. All right, so in order for me to identify the 2 pieces of information that I need to find the area, I need to find the 2 pieces that correspond to this perpendicular angle, namely the 8 and the 20, right? I need these segments to come together to form the perpendicular in order to find the base and the height. So for this, the area would be 20 times 8, which would be 160. Now usually there are units here, and area would always be squared because you have 2 dimensions. You have both the base and the height. So your units are going to be something squared. Okay. In the area of a triangle, a little bit easier. It's 1/2 the base times the height. So if you think about it, it's half a parallelogram essentially, right? So base times height. We have to identify the perpendicular here, and then we can grab our base and our height. So area would be 40. And also this would have units too. Centimeters squared. So the key to all of these problems is identifying where that perpendicular is. Okay, let's do a few examples. Let's say we have this shape. So we're finding the area of the parallelogram, and the area of a parallelogram is base times height. We have to figure out what are the numbers that we need. You're always in these problems going to be given more information than you need, so you're going to have to cipher through and figure out which 2 you actually need to use to find the area. So the key is identifying where that perpendicular is. So you look for the 90-degree angle, and you need the pieces that form that altitude and that base. So in this case, it's going to be 9 and 15. And those are both centimeters. And so when you multiply them together, you're going to get 135 centimeters squared. Okay? Now, sometimes that altitude can be drawn outside of the figure. So notice here, my perpendicular is outside. The 2 pieces that I'm going to need here to form that perpendicular are 6 and 2. The formula for the area of a parallelogram is base times height. So my base is 2 and my height is 6. And I have 12 centimeters squared. Okay? And then we can even tilt it sideways, make you turn a little bit and have to identify what pieces we need here on the side. So again, we're base times height. And my perpendicular is outside now, and the 2 pieces I'm going to need are 18 and 20. So the base is 20, and the height is 18, The area is going to be 360 meters squared. Okay, there's one other type of problem that you're going to need for these parallelograms. You might have to find the missing piece of information. So in this parallelogram, we can find the area. The area of the parallelogram is base times height. If I identify this perpendicular and its corresponding sides, I could find the area. So the area is going to be 15 times 5, which is 75 meters squared. Now I have the area. If I want to find the height using this outside piece of information, then now I'm going to use this base because that's the perpendicular. I can write it over here with this height. Maybe I'll square them. So now I can work backwards. Now my area is 75 meters squared. My base is 12, and I need to find my height. So if you simply divide, then h is going to be 6.25 meters. So I think you have a couple of questions where you need to calculate the area given a perpendicular and a base, and then use it to work backwards to find the missing height. Now keep in mind the height is simply meters. It's only one dimension as opposed to the area, which is meters squared, because there's two dimensions, base and height. Okay, the only other thing you needed to find out in this section is how to calculate the area of a triangle, which again, you identify where the perpendicular is, then you have your height and your base, and now we just need our formula 1/2 base times height. So the area is 1/2 base, which you can make 3 if you want, and the height 4. You can read it either way. And so the area is going to be 6. All right, we'll do one more. Oh, no, 2 more. Let me give some units here, because I think most of these are going to have units. All right, so the area equals 1/2 base times height. So identify where my perpendicular is. So then I need the 4 and the 8 as my base, 4, and my height 8, or either one. Multiplication is commutative, so it doesn't matter the order. 1/2 times 32, and the area is going to be 16 centimeters squared. There's one more problem type in this section where you're calculating either the area of a parallelogram or the area of a triangle, and you have a grid. So in this case, what you're going to do is going to be counting squares essentially, right? So you need to be able to identify where the perpendicular is. So here would be a perpendicular, and you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this height is 6, and it's perpendicular with this base, which again you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, also 6. So to find the area of this parallelogram, it's the base times the height. The base is 6, the height is 6, and so your area is 36. Okay, so just make sure on that grid that you're identifying the perpendicular and counting the correct number of spaces. All right, go ahead and finish up your notes, read through the section, and begin your assignment.